Everyone, welcome to a special interview here on News Talk WSIC. My name is Joe Berg, and I am joined by a very special guest today, Jeff Striegle from MRN. Jeff, how you doing today?
I'm good, Joe. How are you?
I'm great. I tell you what, though, I'm going to be a lot better on Sunday when I'm watching the first ever NASCAR street course race. I don't remember a time where there's been so much, besides maybe going back to North Wilkesboro, I don't remember a time where there's been so much excitement to go to one specific racetrack. I mean, even 3-4 weeks ago, we were seeing previews for NASCAR Chicago street race. What do you think the most exciting thing about the entire weekend is going to be?
Two things, I think. One, that it's new, and because it's new, I think the most exciting thing that I'm looking for is the great unknown. We just don't know what we're going to see. We don't know what we're going to be watching. We don't know what this course is going to have in store for the NASCAR Xfinity and Cup Series drivers. You mentioned, the All-Star race, just down the street from you guys not too long ago as being that high level of excitement. I'm going to add one more to that, and that would be the L.A. Coliseum. When we went out to L.A., we had no idea what we were going to be experiencing. There was far more there than just stock car racing, and I think we're going to see that, obviously, when we get to Chicago. So, I liked your analogy. I'm going to add the Coliseum, just because when we went out there, we had no idea what we were going to see when they finally fired the cars up and rolled them through the tunnel and out onto that makeshift race course where the Trojans play football, and now we're going to be doing this very same thing on a street course that they're going to shut down and turn, busy streets downtown Chicago into a street race. So to me, I think the excitement is just getting there and seeing what NASCAR has created. I mean, it's an engineering marvel to pull something like this off. And like all of us, we've seen pictures. I can't wait to see it in person.
Yeah, and the pictures that I've been seeing, it looks absolutely spectacular. The one thing I've noticed, actually, about the track in general is that there's not really a lot of runoff area through these corners. Do you think that's going to be a problem through this race? Are we going to see a lot of cautions because of this?
You know what? Let's ask the drivers that very same question, say Monday afternoon. Was it too tight? Was there any runoff space? What happened when so-and-so, jacked you up going into turn 2 or turn 7? Yes, I think we're going to see cautions. A.J. Allmendinger, I think, said it best not too long ago. If you're going to be successful on a road course, you have to take the barriers out of the equation, and you have to make perfect laps. And that means absolutely no mistakes. You overshoot the corner, you drive it in too deep, well, that's a mistake. You late brake, and what it's going to take, and I'm just going to go back to what he said, a perfect lap. If you make a mistake, you're going to hit concrete, and you're probably going to hit it hard enough to, ruin your chances to win. I do think there's going to be cautions. There is no runoff room. There is no place to make a mistake. If you do, you're going to have a pack of race cars right behind you to try to take advantage of your mistake. So I think that is going to determine, without question, that's going to determine who goes to victory lane on Saturday and Sunday, is the driver that can be mistake-free the majority of the time and bring home a race car that probably doesn't have a mark on it. And my guess, Joe, that's going to be easier said than done.
Yeah, especially with it being a brand new racetrack, no real tell unless the drivers have been on that simulator trying to get some laps on there, which I'm sure they have, but it's going to be interesting. Now, with all the chaos that you're going to be expecting, how important do you think qualifying for these races are? Because it seems like normal road courses like Sonoma and the Glen, even Circuit of the Americas, if you don't start out on the right foot, you're going to be catching up the whole race, especially now that there's no cautions at the stage breaks.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% accurate with that. I think qualifying is going to be very, very key. And, let's go back to that mistake-free lap. you know as well as I do that Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Allmendinger, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, those guys are going to be pushing it as hard as they can possibly push it in order to get, I mean, let's just say a top 10 starting position. Because if you dig yourself a hole and you make a mistake in a qualifying lap and you're starting in 30th, your shot of going to victory lane is already going to be super difficult. You've just dug yourself a hole that, by all rights, you're just not going to get out of, because you're just, there's just not that kind of room to be able to pass. So I agree with you. Qualifying on Saturday is going to be worth the price of admission for those that are there. We'll have it, of course, on the Motor Racing Network. It will be on TV. And I can guarantee you this, there's going to be some drivers that go in there with high hopes and come out very disappointed after they, threw away a lap, made a mistake going into this corner or that corner, and they're going to wish they had the chance to do it all over again, but they're going to have to wait until they drop the green flag.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. Like you said, I'm thinking somebody like Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, they're going to really shine. Even Allmendinger. What do you think some of the open wheel guys are going to be doing this week? I know Jenson Button is in the race this week. Obviously, they have open wheel and street course racing background. Do you think they'll put up good fights, or are they going to be more mid-pack towards the end?
That's tough to say. I'm going to throw another name in there, though, and I'm going to add Austin Cindric to the list of let's not rule out this driver. I think Chase Elliott is going to be a factor, no doubt. Tyler Reddick, A.J. Allmendinger, but I really like Cindric. I mean, Austin is a kid, a guy that grew up racing on road courses. He has some street racing experience. It's going to be a factor. AJ has been there, done this before. He's going to be a factor. I would not be surprised at all if AJ Allmendinger does not stick his car on the pole. I mean, I just think going in right now, if you pinned me down and said what driver is going to start up front, I'd say AJ. Now, does he finish up front? Certainly, I'd put him in a short list of 5 or 6 drivers for sure. I really think it's going to be that driver that's been there, done that before. That driver that is smooth on braking, smooth on throttle, picking up off the corner. You're not going to want to try to spin those tires coming up and off the corner. So you have to look at those guys that have been good at this at Sonoma, at Coda, at Watkins Glen, and certainly, like you said, Circuit of Americas. Is it the same type of track? No, not really, because all of those tracks are wide and fast, and this is going to be tight and narrow. But I do think you have to give the advantage to them going in. But the other thing I really would like to see is a driver that we're not talking about excel. And that may be a Daniel Suarez. That may be a Martin Truex Jr. I mean, he's good at road courses also. So I do think that we can probably narrow down 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers, but I have a feeling that somebody, like we always see in NASCAR, somebody's going to surprise us. They're going to lay down a good qualifying lap, and they're going to run a good, smooth race on Sunday. And who knows, we may be talking about somebody completely different come Sunday late afternoon as the winner on that Chicago street race.
Yeah. What do you think will make this weekend a success in the eyes of NASCAR?
I don't think there's any doubt that we're going to make it a success. I think what we all need to recognize is this is the first time. And when you do anything for the first time, you may have an issue. You may have a hurdle that we have to clear, something that, whether it be in the course, whether it be on pit road, that might need to be looked at or addressed. But I think if everybody goes in, it's the same thing that, we would have talked about with the Coliseum. It's the same thing we would have talked about at North Wilkesboro. It's the same thing when they created the road course, the Roval in Charlotte that all of your, listeners are familiar with. You go there the very first time thinking that you've dotted all I's, crossed all T's, and then you recognize, okay, we do have an issue here or we have an issue there. I expect that. I hope everybody else expects that. NASCAR isn't going to drag everybody to downtown Chicago and not believe in their mind that they have literally thought of anything and everything. But I think we also have to be realistic that, there could be an issue, and they're going to be there to address it. But again, I would go back to this, and that is the fact that they have turned the streets in downtown Chicago over the 4th of July weekend into a racing circuit. I expect there to be a big crowd, and I expect them to leave on Sunday going, man, oh man, that was spectacular. That's honestly, Joe, how I'm approaching this weekend.
Yeah, and I completely agree, especially with all the new stuff that NASCAR's been doing. It seems like every time they introduce a new track or a new layout, it is a massive success. So really excited to see what this weekend turns out to be. Last question here before I let you go. Now, I know MRN has that undeniable trademark broadcast style of handing it off to the next person. NBC is going to be doing that this week. As a radio announcer, how does that make you feel seeing the NBC TV announcers try to do something that was perfected by you guys a long time ago?
Yeah, it was perfected by those long before me, I can tell you that. The late, great Barney Hall and Joe Moore and Eli Gold and Alan Bestwick. I like it. Mike Bagley, who is, of course, with the Motor Racing Network, will be part of that NBC radio-style broadcast team. And then you've got Jeff Burton and you've got Dale Jr. that will also be out on course. And you know what? I can tell you this. Dale Jr. loves it. I can tell you that Jeff Burton loves it. They love doing this. This isn't the first time they've done it. They do it at, Watkins Glen, as an example. Jeff, Mike, and Dale Jr. are out on the course, and they dig it. I mean, they really, truly have told us that is probably the most fun that they have doing television, is when they get the chance to get out on the course and hand it off to one another. They're going to be looking through the binoculars just like Dave Moody and Dan Hubbard and Kurt Becker, Chris Wilner will be doing for us in the streets of Chicago. When they pull out on Lakeshore Drive, they're a long ways away. And whether you can see them or not, if it's your turn to talk, you need to talk. So I think they're going to have a fun time with it. I know that the folks watching on NBC are going to enjoy it. And, hopefully we've got a couple people listening to you and us on the Motor Racing Network, because it will be a massive undertaking. I credit our engineers and our team behind the scenes that have been out there doing site visits, trying to determine, Joe, you don't just show up and send Dave Moody somewhere and hope he can see the track. There's a lot that goes into exactly where that turn scaffolding is going to be built. How far can he see them coming at him? How far can he see them after they leave his site before he hands them off? There's a lot that really, truly goes into it. And during our call on Tuesday, we talked about what we think we know. And then on Friday, when we get there and walk the track and look at everything, we'll have a better idea. And then we'll know for sure on Sunday, or rather Saturday, when we put the Xfinity cars out there, all of our team will be in position, and we'll start to practice. Just like the drivers on the track are going to practice the course, we're going to be working to make sure that we know where the handoffs are, the drop points are, and who can see what. And, then we're going to go live and hope it all works.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely excited to see how it goes, and I'll be listening in to the MRN broadcast. I can tell you that. It's one of my favorite things to listen to in sports, but I definitely appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. I'm really looking forward to Sunday and Saturday for the Xfinity race. It's going to be a great showing. I hope that we have some good action out there, but I don't think there's going to be really any doubt with the track that NASCAR has laid out. But thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah. And I hope you have a good one and really enjoy the race at Chicago. It's going to be great.
I can tell you this, we're going to. All of us will, and I hope the fans do. I know the drivers are looking forward to it. We certainly are with the Motor Racing Network. So I appreciate the time, and I think what we're in store for in Chicago will not disappoint. Looking forward to calling the action.
All right, well, thank you so much, Jeff. You have a great rest of your day.